beings. You're all that is, ever has been, and ever, ever, ever shall be. And thank you for that wonderful intro, and welcome to the Infinite Human Talk Show. Today we have a really special guest. She's an author and she goes by her pen name. Okay, you might have to help me pronounce this. Katie Oshiwa Nitah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Okay, great. And I'm going to bring her on in just a second, but I just want to kind of lay the foundation for our talk and for, the whole channel, which is infinite, 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 as opposed to finite. So just to kind of ground you in what that means, infinite is expansive without limitations, which has a direct return to God source, infinite God source. Okay, so the infinite beings are the angelic beings that are not fallen, that actually feed directly from infinite source, and they follow the law of one. They follow unity consciousness, love, and work together and have respect for all living beings, all for everything, and they see it all as part of the one, and they're all part of God consciousness, as opposed to finite beings who have severed themselves from divine source, or divine of infinite source, and no longer feed directly, and as a result they have to parasite off of others. And I call them many times fallen angelics, because although they were in a divine angelic state at one point, they chose, or through various many different avenues, they ended up falling. So we're going to be kind of discussing that concept as we talk about some of the books that Katie has written, and we're going to be talking about a little bit about our history. And that's why I read both of her books. I love them, by the way, and I love them because they're kind of set like a sci-fi, so you could just kind of read them as wow, that's science fiction. But as my spiritual teacher, my first spiritual teacher once told me, and I agree with her on that point, there's no such thing as science fiction, because everything, if you can imagine it, it's happened. So let me just read her bio a little bit so you can get an understanding of the diversity and magnitude of her. Okay, Katie Oshiwa Nitah, owner and facilitator of Harmonizing Journey to Realignment seminars and sessions. Excuse me. The HJR navigator, helping others to connect with their multidimensional clan family. Colonic science is the foundation and mechanics behind her work in waking up to who we are as multidimensional universal humans. And I would call them infinite humans, but it's the same thing. Katie is also the author of Waking in Alania series of who we are as biospiritual, I love that word, biospiritual beings living in a multidimensional biospiritual universe. For more information, okay, so we'll put her website up there for you, and she also has a YouTube channel called Harmonizing Journeys. So welcome, 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 Katie. And what's your 3D name you go by?
Well, the first name is correct, it's Katie, and then my last name is Brackeen.
Okay, we'll call you Katie then.
Yeah, my last name's not going to help you.
So I love talking to this gal. She's so creative and full of so much knowledge. You've just you're really truly a multidimensional being, and I do like that. I won't call them past lives because they're really alternate identities, but I know you identify very much with your pen name, which you use, and I love that character. She's quite a cut up. I did a guided journey with her, and I really enjoyed her. Rika, I still remember that. So tell me about let's talk a little bit about the series of Walking Alania. Can you tell me the birth of it, and then I'll chime in with what I enjoyed about it. But
Waking in Alania began when I was in 2006, when I was living in New Mexico. And I was trying to kind of get my footing into doing this work, and kind of the fact that it can be a little, chaotic science it's a science. Mm-hmm. So it can be kind of complicated. And a friend of mine was saying that I was working with, she was like, kind of a he, was like, you need to go in the back door. You can't go in the front door with this information. People are not going to get it. What's the heart and soul of Keylonic science? So I said, oh, okay. So I tuned in, and the characters just kind of started to become alive, and they had a story of their own that they told. And that's kind of the beginning of Waking in Alania, which takes place on Terra, which is our harmonic universe 2. Alcyon would be another term.
Which is Earth before the fall, which is our 5-dimensional aspect of our planet. It's really what we were supposed to not be where we are on a fallen planet.
Yeah, we are kind of spheres within spheres within spheres, including the planet. So we're in the core root of grounding of the whole universal multidimensional aspects of what Earth really is. So the next level is Terra. It's more light-based, silicon, antimatter. Things manifest faster. And then, of course, we have our beloved Gaia expression, which is our oversoul level. And so Terra would be more of our soul level. We're here at our incarnate level, oversoul, and then our avatar, Mashayahana expression, and then we connect into the rishis. So all the ancient teachings fit in. Esoteric teachings are part of this mechanics.
Okay, so just to kind of ground it for people that aren't familiar with all this, because it's huge. I remember when I was introduced to it, but I think most people, I did a esoteric Renaissance walking tour in Florence. When I just closed my film school, I said, people got to wake up first, so we're going to keep repeating everything. So I meet people from all over the world, from Russia, from China, from the US, from Brazil, you name it, and everyone agreed on one thing: the planet is messed up. So I think we can all agree that we're on a fallen planet. It just isn't working. Greed, wars, all the sexual abuse, the male female mess up relationships, everything. So, okay, so we understand we're in a fallen universe. And now well, I would say Christic teachings, whatever you want to call them, colonic science. But what I realized with your book is, and the reason I really resonate, and many people talk about it, whether it's Ashiana Dean and Lisa Renee, and there's many other people, but I think what it does is it incites our own, not only imagination, but our memories. Because when I read something, I have a memory. It's like I remember it, like a child. You smell a perfume, and you can remember your mother bathing you or something. I have these memories, and some of them aren't very pleasant ones, but they're very healing. And when I read your book, it. The colonic science, or the speakers, or whatever you want to call them, explain things in a very mechanical way, but you put us in the story, and I was like, yeah, I can see it, I can feel it, I can hear it. I started to remember many things, and I started going, yeah, I want to start writing in this multidimensional way of remembering my past lives, or my altered identities, which as we remember them, we heal them and we integrate them. Just like you were talking about, Tara is really an expression, Gaia is an expression of our earth at a higher level. And so are we. As it ascends, so are we. So there's a...
Yes, we have a part of ourselves in each of those levels. And there's kind of, the term is used as Cathara grid, but really I think of it as energy lines and energy centers, or neural network pathways of our eternal expression. So our body is an integral part of that, and not to be discounted as, oh, we don't need it anymore. It's a beautiful reflection of our inner self, of those energy lines and energy centers, of those bigger pictures of self. So it's a matter of just honoring that. And like you were kind of saying earlier, when we start remembering, we get traumas that may come up of remembering events that just didn't quite pan out the way we wanted them to. And it was really kind of a shit show. So feeling those feelings, but yet at the same time, making that connection with our inner being and bringing in the spirit energies of ourself to kind of help with that cleansing, clearing process. And there's all kinds of modalities out there too that kind of help with the releasing the stored traumas in the body, right? Because our body is a reflection of our inner. So yes, we can. One of the worst things that's done is the fear of facing our traumas.
Mm-hmm.
That really locks us up and creates kind of this sort of blah energy. Some people call miasms, like crystal.
Yeah.
Sort of shuts the system down to where it's just not really functioning, and all we can do is use our logic and reasoning, and barely that, until we just go right. So it's like, wake up, work on it, it's gonna be okay. So
yeah. And it is, but I think really, if you just understand, in my book, The Infinite Human, and I want you to show your book, my book, The Infinite Human, I have a whole chapter on MK Ultra trauma-based mind control, because really that's what we have experienced as a species, and it's very crafty, very artfully woven, and it goes much more than just now. Okay. So, one of the things I wanted to ask on this thing is, people think they're woke, how awakened are you? And because there's always another level of awakening. And what's happened is this mind control goes on, and this story goes on. But in our time matrix alone, we're talking about 260 billion years when it started to let's just say steer from perhaps, I call it divine infinite source, or alignment with God's source, and kind of get distortions and warring started at factions. And that's a huge history right there. But, as we remember, if you look, just even if you keep it just in this lifetime without going into to billions of years, because it keeps repeating, it's a time loop, but it keeps repeating until you heal it. So what happens is, and I refer to like Alfred Hitchcock movie, just classic thing. I think Gregory Peck was a guy, and he lost his memory, and he didn't know who he was. He couldn't remember anything, and they helped him remember that as a child he had accidentally, had an accident and killed his younger brother and felt guilty, and this whole thing for it. Well, but he did everything to avoid it, every time, because he gets so nervous it would close it off. And that's what we do, because it's so traumatic. Perhaps we can't face it all. But that, to me, really is what awakening is. That's the true awakening. It's not knowing, that there's a cabal, and that they put crappy stuff in the medicine and all that. I mean, that's just one that's a great layer, because many people aren't even doing that. But you have to really start awakening, and then realizing too, because then you stop pointing figures, because you realize we've all been in this, been mind wiped, and been playing out roles, for so long. So that's part of it too, to start forgiving yourself and others. It's like that whole, Christic principle, forgive thy neighbor. But really, because we are all one, and we've been in just this, I think some people call it experiment. I just call it a really tragic story. It's kind of soap opera. It's really reads like a soap opera. It doesn't really. And the draconians against studying,
yeah.
And it's like, there's so many factions in the Topian and the Anunnaki, and they just, so not to put all this on you, but what I think has to happen, it has to become personal. You have to always keep it personal. If that makes sense. Well, like you just said, it's healing. It's a healing journey. So
I would kind of add to that is when you start sort of rubbing your eyes and kind of being jolted awake and kind of looking around and noticing, okay, there's this cabal, and there's this and there's that. Taking time in nature, taking time in meditation and breathing, and just tuning into yourself. And listening to that inner voice within, the more you're able to tune in and more you become to know that expression, make a commitment to that, so that when you start feeling more of the traumas, and you start judging yourself, I did this, that, and the other, tuning back into that inner being self that loves you and sees the bigger picture and says, it's okay. You don't have to have what can be called unjustified karma, where you continue to create the situation over and over again, running chaos, um, humility. I mean, there's all these kind of mental, kind of emotional programs, negative programs that we instigate or run in our biofields, that we just keep creating the same sort of stories over and over again because we're so afraid of doing something bad again. And one of the things that's kind of beautiful about this planet, which I have to agree, I don't really like that much either, but it is kind of a beautiful thing too, is as I as we are ex- one of the things that's powerful. Do I need to stop till you so we can take that out of the recording? Okay.
Don't worry, sorry.
One of the things is of this earthly incarnate experience, different.
I'm sorry. I never get phone calls, so I don't turn off my phones.
One of the things that's beautiful about this incarnation, that's different than our soul level and oversoul level, is on a soul level, we were more of a collective soul group consciousness. There wasn't really individuation per se. We all followed the divine order of the hierarchy. And that's beautiful. And we are going to eventually, I think, get back to that. But what this incarnation has been about is developing our own individuation, our own intellect. And in that, we have created some really nasty things that have happened, because with that, we've been developing the ability to actually have free will, which means every moment to moment to moment, you have a choice to create in the dark, in self-centeredness, and me, or you can have, which is service to self, or you can choose the more embodiment of how we all interconnect as one, the service to others consciousness, and it's moment to moment to moment. So again, that's part of that commitment to self. While there's a certain amount of developing self-identity and self-centeredness, because you're developing your individual identity of the I am. I am term is something of the incarnate earth level. Higher levels, it doesn't really fit because there's no real I for individuation. So we're really, as I'm going to introduce Rudolf Steiner, we're this particular epoch or evolution of humanity is developing the freedom spirit consciousness. So there is kind of the dark side to it, but there's also a beautiful light side. And we each individual have a choice what we want to embody. But part of that is taking responsibility for the good, bad, and the ugly that we create, because we are really standing for the first time, probably forever, and really as an individual having creative abilities of our own, as opposed to just the collective soul group.
But what's funny is that one of the things I like most about your book was that you showed how through your character Kara, right? For example, how people were so maintained their uniqueness, their I am status, their own agendas, but yet it was perfectly in harmony with others. I really like that, because I think there's a fear, and there's many are not choosing to return to service. They're free will, and We've always had free will. We've been a free will time matrix. But I think what I liked is that you demonstrated it in a way that personified it, and you showed how people were multidimensional and how they could become, orbs of light, but yet have, the chemical, male, female, kind of, does he like me? Do I like her? The down to earth stuff. And I think that to me is what I call infinite human. We're still human, and that we're infinite. We're at a very interesting, exciting time if we really become the co-creators of our reality, because we've gone really to the bottom, of the matrix. I mean, like, it's so far, to me, that's what failsafe is all about. It's kicks in and it's saying, okay, you can't get any worse. We got to bring you back. But now we're coming back, but we're redefining everything because we've touched the bottom, and now we're coming back with this, like you said, with this experience that we've had, this uniqueness. And I think I just want to point out too, because a lot of the teachings that to me, I'll just say speaker one, when she first started talking, and I'm just seeing some of, I didn't get in there. I got in 2015 when all I got was the later stuff. And I'm seeing the early freedom teachings, which have been, they're bootleg. You have to find them. But oh my gosh, when she's running the frequency and saying those things, nobody talks like that on earth. I mean, maybe Star Trek or something, at that time, in the 60s. I want to interview, Captain Kirk's James T. Kirk, because anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But the board, all that kind of stuff was coming out. So when she was saying that, it just incites something in you. And she shows how it's happened in all the structure. And you mentioned the Cathara grid, which I just wanted to say, people think the Kabbalah, the Kabbalah, the 10 Zephyroth, tree of life it's really a tree of death. And so she shows that that's the true structure is the 12, the 12 Zephyroth are really, they're energy orbs, and they make up everything, they're the external creation. And then now she's working with plasma, which is the internal creation. So, and but it's so vivid and full. But what you brought into it was what it feels like, because I think she gets so, I mean, that's her job, is to explain the mechanics, because it's huge. She explains how all these different, geometric patterns fit into in their universes, and then this other universe up here and this other universe, and then it just keeps going on into infinite. So it's fascinating. But I think so it misses the heart and the feelings and the poetry of having lived it.
The thing that I kind of with that that she's talked about, and other people kind of students have kind of said is, and again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. When you start looking at all those technicals, just kind of relax and get in a meditative state with soft eyes and look at it, because that information is not for your 3D self really at all.
Sure.
It's for higher aspects. So when you can kind of relax your mind where it's aware, it's still paying attention, and then that when I was talking about those neural network pathways, the energy lines and energy centers can start waking up, and the energies can start flowing and receiving back and forth, because energy comes in through the body and flows back out. And there's a pillar actually that surrounds the body. So we have kind of the light, sound, and one aspect to this, which is the heart and soul of bringing in that electrical light male. Actually, that's more of letting it back out. We receive in kind of into our womb or into that sort of inner core, that divine order consciousness of creation that's kind of a bit more magnetic, more female. And that goes through our biofields all the way down into the Earth's core, and a biofeed interface system with the core, because we are integrated into the planetary structure. And then the breathing back out into the light, manifesting as well around us and creating that, what many people call kind of that holographic reality, that reflected out reality of that beautiful inner expression that we have within us, within that Manu pillar of that form constant of that balances out the polarities of that light and sound. And that's part of the waking up process, is going back within and breathing within and feeling out that eternal expression and waking up those neural network pathways or energy centers and energy lines, to where then we can start being guided to the esoterica knowledge that has that history of the evolution of who we are. And we can listen again with that, with the soft eyes, and just start waking up and waking up to where we just know. We just know.
And I think that's the final goal. I remember when I first started listening to her in the videos or whatever, I would fall asleep. But I know I was
Yes.
absorbing it because, you know,
That's very common. Yeah.
my genetics weren't, physical enough to hold it. So I would actually, and I do that a lot now, just with the influx of all the plasmas that are coming in, all the frequencies that are running in. During the day, I'll just have to like find my bed and I'll just like pass out for like an hour because the downloads are so massive, But ultimately, and this is what I wanted to get back, because it's absorbing it in your mind, but you have to bring it into your body. You have to bring it into your life. And I think, you can talk the talk, but unless you hear that, and you've got to heal your life and you've got to change it, and man, I listened to one of her videos on the victimizer and the martyr and
yeah.
It's so huge. It's so ingrained. I mean, I get it here, but I'll just, start running that program with people when I'm out, and about, because it's like the script. It's the script. We all, it's like this guy, blaming, it's a victimizer kind of thing, to make it short. But ultimately, no matter who's telling you, and a lot of people say, there's a lot of division. I'll just say within the communities, all spiritual communities, like, don't listen to her. Don't listen. She's dark. That's dark. It's going on, guys. But I think it's going on now because the frequencies are so high. We are, one, we're able to remember ourselves. Two, we're able to heal our trauma, and we can feel it and heal it because we're so supported. There's so much, the frequencies are so high that it's just, you feel it once and it's starting to dissipate. I'm really feeling like I'm moving. Before, I would feel it and it keep coming up and up and up, but every time it comes up now, it's less and less and less. And we're all going to remember. And that's why I started this show, because I want us all to, we're going to all be the speakers. We're going to all have our direct pathways, not even to the guardians, because I believe we are the guardians. We just,
Yes.
we just set a little projection
Yes.
of ourselves down here, and the guardians all, come from source, infinite source, and so we'll all just get it. It's like we can finally communicate. We won't even have to use the words, we'll just like show up and know what to do. And it's coming more and more every day. But I think we do have to like share our pieces of the puzzle, because it's like, oh, wow, you remember that? I remember it this way. Yeah. And we're putting it all back together. So it's exciting time, challenging, but exciting. And that's what I loved about your book, because you climb in, because I know, when I write, they say all the characters are you, aspects of yourself too. And, so we are creators. It's like you remember yourself as a creator God. Yeah. So let's see your book right here. I mean, this is going to be this audio, but we are doing a video of this. So, and okay. I'm sorry, I said walking, right? It's waking.
Waking. Yeah, waking up, rubbing the sleep out of the eyes.
Sure. Coming out of coma, really, because
and Alania represents more of the part of us that really fell asleep, because the Mu, as we know, was more the matriarchal, waking up, staying Matriarchal by nature is within the womb space, within the core.
Okay, well, just for a minute, for those that might not know, some people don't even know about Atlantis and Lemuria. So,
Okay.
You might be listening. You might say, "Okay, we know the history's maybe a little bit tampered. Like they're doing it now with taking away, like the racism and the South, and they do that. They always do that. And so many people are starting to realize, hey, there was an Atlantis, and there was a Lemuria, but on Tara, even before we were like pulled out of a black hole, out of the ripped from Andromeda, these were called different names. But like we said, history keeps repeating itself. So Atlantis, would be the original, and then Mu would be Lemuria. Right? Yeah. Just to correct that.
Yeah,
Orion people.
It's interesting with that I've been kind of seeing recently with working with Rudolf Steiner and anthroposophy with the epochs, is there seems to be this continuous repeating of imbalance between the polarities of the male and female energies, which is really the light expansion, male energy, and the magnetic pulling in, female energy polarities. We all
well, it's the Merkaba, right? To the electrical and magnetic, clockwise, counterclockwise, but it creates a dynamic, creates motion.
And within that, those two energies actually are within us, within that Manu, that what I like to call the form constant that regulates the two. We've, through, particularly during Atlantis, when certain things occurred that interfered with that balance. And that was part of why the Kabbalistic teachings came in, because we no longer had that form constant connection anymore. And we were becoming more separate male-female bodies, because really in the beginning we were male-female in the same body. And we may be more Ire dominant, which would be more female dominant, or Mane, which would be more electrical male dominant, back and forth between the lifetimes, but we were more together. And then we've been kind of evolving separately way way out here, and now we're at a very fascinating point in our evolutionary history where we've downstepped physically as much as really way more than we probably should have. And we're now bit by bit coming back. And this new epoch that is literally starting in the last few years, they call it with in esoterica brotherly love, Philadelphia. We're now starting to come back with the two male female. So it's not going to be a patriarchal society. It's not going to cycle out as a matriarchal society like it's been going back and forth between these different cycles. We're actually working to how can we put the two together? How can we, in essence, be our brother's keeper, but brother in terms of internal self, between balancing.
And we have that herogamic union within us. We are both masculine and feminine.
Yes,
so
we
really,
do.
it
bringing
comes
it back,
starts with
integrating it
us. Yeah.
into the new I development. How can this new I expression now bring it all together and then expand back out into a full, back again to the soul over soul avatar rishi levels, and still maintain that identity, but yet, because we know it's I am, not just I, but am everything.
And it always comes back to inside us first. So just a minute, let me pause for a break. Aaron, are you there? Are we supposed to do a commercial break? Because I was told before in the chat, so I guess he let us go.
Yeah,
So
I'm here.
Oh, should I do my break? Because it's been almost an hour. Should I do like a pause for the break so we have that recorded?
Yeah. Let me hold on. Let me clip this for you.
Okay. So are we paused now? See, I'm still recording, so
3, 2.
Okay, well, we've been talking with Katie Nitah. Oh, I got that right. And we're going to take a short break. So we'll be right back.
All right, perfect. We are all clear. Let me save this file and we'll get going on the next one. Here we go in 4, 3, 2.
And welcome back to the Infinite Human Talk Show. I'm your host, Elizabeth Monroy, and we're having a fascinating, multi-dimensional conversation with Katie O'Shea. Katie, I'll just call you Katie right now. Author of Waking in Alania, which is a wonderful series, okay? And I really recommend anyone to get that book and read it. So on Amazon and also on your website. And Katie also does very unique kind of coaching. So if you want to take a minute,
actually, kind of with that, if you're in the United States, you can purchase it on Amazon. If not, in your international, Lulu, and you can go to my website, and I have a page just specifically on that you can easily find the link, or go to Lulu.
And what is your website?
Harmonizingjourney.com.
Okay, good. Harmonizingjourney.com.
And I guess you were going to give me the opportunity to also do private sessions, Harmonizing Journey to Realignment. And speaking on failsafe, that was actually a very good.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me just say one thing. I bought your book here in Italy on Amazon. And I
just changed it. The reason I'm not doing it internationally. Do I need to? I don't know if we want to waste that time.
So it's not available internationally anymore. Okay, I just bought it there, so okay.
I know you did, and I don't think I've gotten paid for it. Okay.
Okay. Good. Okay, that's okay.
Okay. So my private sessions.
Okay.
Speaking on failsafe.
Yeah.
Basically, there is or was a natural ascension process through ascending back into Terra, Gaia, Ermatena, which is our avatar level, and then onto Rishi. And then there's many levels beyond that's out of this time matrix. Okay. Because of all the distortions and problems and free will choices that we've done over many millennia, that system is actually running reverse now. It's not working. It's actually dangerous to just go, I'm going to do 5D, ascension. No. But one of the things that I really, with the failsafe and the mechanics that goes along with it, I personally call it why am I not stripping on the words? Okay, guys, you don't want me to say it.
You can say it in your own words without using.
I was trying to say bypass bypass system. That was the word that was going out of my head. She calls it integral bridge, crystal bridgeway, 7 bridges flows. They connect with different sun energies, consciousness of different levels, but we're kind of bypassing that and going directly into the kind of plasma spirit body mechanics science. And so that's what I work with my sessions, is how to connect in something called a Mashayahana prayer salon or pod space, which is kind of a teardrop shaped consciousness field of our spirit body plasma mechanics. And I utilize a lot of her mechanics that she received Ashiana received, to get you into that. And then once you make that connection, and we connect to something called the crystal caverns, and I like to call it also the rainbow bridge frequencies, you can more easier, you don't have to do it, but it makes it easier to tune into that eternal pillar core of your expression and clear those blocks and traumas in a way that's much quicker and much easier than, I would say, so far, of what I've found other modalities, which I actually kind of incorporate some other modalities with it because of the beautiful mechanics of it, such as soul realignment, the touch and breathe, the neuro linguistic programming. I incorporate that when I have someone who's just really shut down and almost on the verge many times of becoming a negative soul. They're so stuck, or they're running just this vows or negative thought forms that are just, they can't get past. So that's what I work a lot with, as well as kind of making that sort of spiritual connection to to your clan family. Who are you multidimensionally? And making that personal relationship and work with them to, again, reconnect that whole network. And every session's unique in and of itself because everybody has their own special template, right, or structure that they manifest the reality upon. And so I guess that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that. And, it's really fascinating to see people who have drawn on many different, modalities and are using their own unique gifts and talents to come up with something, and share it with people. And I think that's really what it's all about, us finding what, we're passionate about, what works for us, and then sharing it. And I just kind of wrap it up, though. I really want to bring it back. All our talks are always going to go back to infinite, divine, infinite within you. And I really believe we're in a time, if we can just believe it, it's happening, that we have all the answers inside of ourselves. It's nice to reach out and to share energy and to work with other people. That's always great. But, I have a whole chapter on spiritual teachers in my book and services. And not to say that, if you don't need to get, help or something, you can reach out.
Yeah. And I don't do it for you. You do it for yourself. I want to make sure that, because I'm not your guru. I'm not your spiritual teacher. I'm just a navigator.
Yeah, and I'm
I
not
can get you to a certain spot.
Yeah.
No, I'm making sure. I didn't realize I clarified that. I don't do it for you.
No, but that's the gist of my show for everything. And I'm just going to, touch on that because, of course, you need services or whatever. And I think the other book Peter and I wrote, because my husband, Peter, my twin soul, was a physician. He's no longer in the physical, and it was all about, we were writing the book, The Pathway Home, Divine Inner Healing, to empower co-healers, new healers that empower other people in the healing process, which I'm sure is what you do. I know I've had a session with you, but again, we talked a lot about like the Ashiana Dean and all these terminologies and these feel safe, this is that. And there's people that believe you have to do the plasma, whatever. And there's other people that believe, you shouldn't, it's evil. And we get all that stuff going. So there's a book that
it's a good place to
started everything, the Voyagers. But I just want to give my personal opinion with how I work. And I think it's kind of a prototype of the new infinite human. Everything I get first comes within me, either through my writing, and I am, I go out to figure out what's happening to me. And when Peter left, I was devastated and I couldn't think. I didn't know what happened. And now, even listening today, I realize where I came from, because I kept getting the feeling I'm not from this time vector. And I realized, I'm from, the Aquarian, outside. And Peter and I came as a twin, one soul. And then, it was devastating when he was no longer here. And now I understand why I never felt that way for anyone else, and so I wanted to figure out what is going on. And I work with him. And I've worked actually helping my mother to ascend. I wasn't sure what was going on, but we were working with her plasma, building up her plasma body. I didn't even know what I was doing, and ascending her, taking her to Tara, and so I get everything firsthand. Like, I have an experience, I have a memory, I have something that happens to me, and I want to expand on that, so I research and I go out, and that's what I do with Ashiana. And I always, some things resonate with her, some things don't. Some of her early freedom work, some of it doesn't. Absolutely. Some of this stuff that she does now, some of it doesn't, and a lot of people say, don't do it, but I have learned to love the dark side. So and in any dark thing, there is truth, because they palter, they have to put frequencies of truth in it to attach you. So I listen to it, and then that's part of my encryption, my ability to discern, or to read the encryption behind things. So, and I'm learning, and I think we're all learning. That's the point. I think we're all starting to have more internal experiences, because we've been disconnected. We've been at like a cell phone with our SIM card removed, and we have to go, what do we think? How should we go to the bathroom? How should we eat? What should we eat? Where should we go? What should we say to God? What should we call him? I mean, we've gotten all our cues externally, and now we're like babies going, wow, how do I access the infinite, the multiverse, and we are unique. I say we're all water, but we're snowflakes. I love that, because we are unique expressions of infinite source, and we have to honor both our uniqueness and the oneness. And the oneness comes more from just the knowingness, the feeling. We all know. But it's funny, because everywhere in the world, but I also I call it the disunited state of America, because there's no more polarity. I've never seen such reverse polarities, because everyone's like, I'm for it or I'm against it. I'm Republican, I'm Dominican, I'm black, I'm white, I'm, or I drive a blue car. No, it's a white car. It's like, so of course we're different, and of course I see that now in the Christic communities, pre shield split, or whatever they call it. Early Ashiana Dean, late Ashiana Dean, possessed Ashiana, whatever. And, this energy, I mean, you could just go to town, chocolate cake, vanilla cake. I see, it doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that we need to not make it right. Like, this is the right way. This is the truth is a frequency. We are all coming together in that greater truth. And that's the oneness of all things that we've been distorted from, fallen from. We don't realize we are all one. We are all connected. And when we totally get that in place, then we can delight, like in your story, how they delighted in their uniqueness. We won't see someone thinking differently as a threat. And my point is, you said ground yourself in nature, because the point I'm making about whether you call it fail states or whatever you want to call it, there's all these words, but simple. The truth is simple. Earth is ascending. Okay. I think everyone that's awakening is noting that. They're physically.
Yeah, the planet made the choice a few years back that it was going to.
It is ascending, but the organic Earth is ascending. And we, as organic beings, are connecting with that, grounding ourselves in that, being in that, eating real food, being, in nature, being, keeping ourselves pure, which is why I very much believe, and I talk about at the end of the book, there's a real important choice that a lot of people are making in the modern world, especially because they're shoving AI, artificial intelligence, as opposed to divine technology, artificial technology, down our throat, like it's the panacea, the end all. And just one more thing. When my book, Infinite Human, came out, Netflix release or whatever it was, Infinite, the movie Infinite with Mark Wahlberg or something. And he was getting infinite by going into this med bed and remembering all his past lives, because of the artificial technology. And I think we really have to realize, that technology may be a stepping stone right now till we come online with our divine technology, but we really need to stay organic and connect with our mother, our earth. Yeah. And the indigenous people know that.
I just wanted to add to that, because that's brilliant.
Please.
Is everybody talks about, for those that kind of are a little bit more aware, that there are other worlds off our planet, and these beings come, like we like to use the term alien, but it's really just extended family. And everybody says, well, we have to be more technologically advanced before they can come and say who they are. But you know what? I don't think it's AI technology. I think it's infinite technology, divine technology of knowing who we are, and knowing that's family. That's not anybody better or worse than me. That's just extended family may have left at some point, or somehow there's evolved differently, but it's still family.
Very good point. And what about family? Like, especially family right now. What is everyone experiencing? All the starseeds are experiencing with their biological families, lots of problems, I think. And I think people don't realize that these people that we're calling the Arcturians, the Palladians, whatever, our neighboring family who are in form, who are part of this fallen matrix. They fell. They're part of the fallen universe. But we're looking to them as our saviors, and we're thinking they know more than us because they have spaceships or something. The real deal is travel in spaceship, guys. You commune, you go up to them. Your consciousness goes to them. They're non-corporeal beings.
They are here not to save us. They're here to save their asses, because Earth is ground zero. Earth is ground zero.
Yeah. And so don't look to them to save you. You are in the right place. And that's why I wanted to talk to what's his name? I'm blocking his name, but Captain Kirk, because I write a lot about Star Trek, because we're always wanting, beam me up, Scotty, to get off our planet.
I did too for the longest time. Yes, I did.
We're prime real estate. Everyone wants to get on our planet.
The controllers know that. If they can get us focused out there instead of back in here, they have control. Period.
Yes. And also into cyberspace too. I mean, I know right now we're talking on cyberspace. You're hearing us through cyberspace. Yeah. It's very useful. I'm not anti anything. Yes. I'm alchemizing and integrating it, until you can hear me. But I'll continue this conversation off camera with you. I know. Because we always, I talk to people all the time in my, sanctious villa over in Sicily, away from everything, because it's very high frequency, and I continue the conversations. But ascension is inscension, and it's going inward and connecting, like you said, to all that we are, our monadics families, as you talk about. I'm with my twin a lot because we're one. And our families that are non-corporeal beings in the solar rishi world. I'm always swimming with the I'm amethyst order, so I'm with the mermaids and the Pegasus flying around all the time. I just have to go there, and I'm blissful, But we also have bodies, so we have to be grounded in the earth, because as we pull those frequencies in, we're helping earth, and then it's helping us. It's this beautiful, true affinity, give and take,
I like to use the word that we are grid keepers.
Pardon? Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm coughing.
I like the term grid keepers. There's good keepers, horses, they're good keepers. It's being mindful of our thoughts, feelings, and actions, being stable and connected into the earth, listening to the earth, listening to our inner being, expressing through it, the biofeed interface system, and how when you get to a certain level, you can actually also start feeling out what's going on with the planet. How can I breathe and align and clear certain things out of my biofield that can also be cleared out of the planet's biofield, and really work to make this planet awesome to its full potential, which is going into Terra, which is kind of interesting in that it's been a process of development, of learning and failures and learning again and redoing it again.
Well,
That's
I
what
just
the
want
different
to,
seeding cycles have been. Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I want to speak to the whole grid work, because I say that we're returning, and I feel
Sorry to
definitely.
interrupt, guys. We do have to disconnect for the next show here. Elizabeth, feel free to book another pre-record session, and we can do record a close for you and patch it together for you.
Okay, well, I thought you were good. Okay, all right. Thank you. Bye.
Take care.
Okay. I'm going to continue with this just for a minute, if you don't mind, Katie, because I've got it recording. Okay.
Okay.
Because I'm going to edit this myself and put it on YouTube and Facebook. Okay. So, but I think grid work is really important. I think we are returning the Magic Grail lines. All right. The true guardians of the planet, the guardians of the grids, the dragon lines, the dragon nodes, the dragon eggs, and all these kind of things that are strategically placed. And that's how we're really helping and reclaiming our planet, which has been taken from us energetically by creating all these blood sacrifices and everything's around the ley lines, in the ley lines. So I just always run the Kristalla Kara Yasata, wherever I go. I just feel called to plant myself and to connect us up to Tara. I'm always feeling and connecting to Earth, to connecting, the dots, connecting the fibers, this kind of a energetic connection, when I travel around, so yeah, I think that's what we're all meant to do.
Yes, for sure. Depending upon our templates, kind of different grid areas we're more aligned to, and bringing in whatever that would be, either the Seraphi Seraphim of the Gold Order, the Emerald Order, the Amethyst Order, kind of bringing those consciousness back in of ourself. And there's been all kinds of different things that have been done throughout history. Blood sacrifice is just kind of one of them. Sexual acts have been another. I
just want to say one thing, and then we'll wrap this up. But it's interesting because I actually was going to go to Malta this weekend, because it's kind of cleaning up that whole area. It's been shifted, because it was really such a, and one of the things I liked about you is you reminded me of something that I've intuitively been doing, because I'm in places that have a lot of the ancient ruins that mark the sites. And I never pay attention to the written history, because I always go back. And then, even like we would say Atlantean history, it goes even further back, because we can go back, to the and now they're finding a lot of the Tyranian, Teresian structures and architecture that was mudslided and hidden. Mm-hmm. So, I'll go back in that time frame, and, it was such a powerful place. And then, of course, power places are always co-opted, and that's where the darkest, well, that's where the Knights Templar, pretty much took it from the true Templar Knights of the Essenes, So, but I actually decided not to go this weekend, because it just felt like the energies right now. I'm sensing that there's going to be a big shift coming.
I just got guided to say something before we wrap up.
Please do.
When we were in Lemuria, and even Hyperborea, and I can't remember, I'm spacing on the other one, we weren't like we are now. We were more sort of this consciousness orby type being. Many times when people go back and remember past lifetimes, they think they're off world. They're actually still on Earth. Mm-hmm. We've gone through so many different developmental stages and looked all kinds of crazy ways. You're probably still here. You're probably still here.
Yeah.
And to understand the evolution of this beautiful planet. It's awesome.
It's huge. But also there's some icky stuff that we have to move through. And I think one of the toughest things that women, and I'm working a lot with women now because I really feel like we're healing and we're bringing the divine feminine forward. And we are, as females, are embodying that because we were done such a number on, and it's huge. I'm rewriting it in my book about what the Tothian, the whole hijacking of the tearing apart of twin souls, and which kept repeating and repeating in the Cathars and the scenes. I know Malta was a scene for it. And, we were the goddesses, these temples, to the goddesses. We were goddesses, we were so powerful. We held the sacred knowledge. We held the sacred, keys and the genetics. And when we were invaded, our twin souls were murdered in front of us, and we were raped, and traumatized, and with Leviathan invasions to bear these Anunnaki children, hybrids, that were being bred to destroy the Christic races. So
the Nephis, the Nephilims,
and it did such a number on women with their children, cutting the divine sacred bond with your own inner child, with your children, and with the opposite sex, because we were so.
And they're doing that big time right now with the stuff they're doing to families with the sexual orientation stuff. That's like really huge.
They're trying to stop it. They're trying to keep the true herogamic union into something that's that before the child can even identify with what embodiment they came in, but that's a whole other story. Okay, well,
it's the same thing, actually.
Yeah. But thank you so much for joining us, and I'd love to have you back. I know this was a rough one because I'm learning how to do it, but later on when we can maybe take some callers and stream it live and get some comments so we can make it really multidimensional.
Thank you.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Bye, sweetheart. Talk to you next time.
Okay. Bye.